What's up, guys? Hey, thank you for coming by the MMA channel. I really appreciate it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get this thing going. I appreciate it. I got some UFC 300 thoughts, and I want to talk about Chimaev versus Whittaker, which has been announced in Saudi Arabia. I'm going to get into all that and more, guys, so let's get into this.
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy.
So I was excited to hear Khamzat Chimaev versus Robert Whittaker in Saudi Arabia. Hey, this is one hell of a fight. Last fight that Chimaev had was against Kamaru Usman, who was a 170-pound champion, king, whatever you want to call him, jumped at short notice, and towards the end of that fight, Chimaev didn't look so good. Can he do 5 rounds with Whittaker, or the question is, can Whittaker survive the onslaught of rounds 1 and 2 against Chimaev? I honestly don't know. The odds makers have Chimaev as a favorite, but really is he? Because it's all about how the money comes in, and we know a lot of people are going to place bets on Chimaev based on reputation. I would say it's more of a pick'em fight, but the winner should get a title shot, but we say that about a lot of guys. I do love this matchup, but secretly I was hoping Jared Cannonier would get a shot against Chimaev, but Cannonier's just not marketable for whatever reason. Nobody wants to see him fight. And yeah, I know his title fight against Izzy was probably one of the most boring title fights I've seen in a long time, but the guy is tough. I mean, he has a win over Sean Strickland. I think his style, with his strength, I think he'd give Chimaev a nightmare. I don't know that Chimaev gets past Cannonier. Yet we know Robert Whittaker can. He's already gotten past Cannonier once. But is it the same Robert Whittaker, or is he slightly diminished after all these battles? Because this dude has been through some wars. I mean, he's been through some of the gnarliest fights, those Yola Romero. One thing about Whittaker is that dude comes to fight. Where does this leave Sean Strickland? I thought Sean Strickland, originally, Bisping and these guys were reporting that Sean Strickland was going to get the fight against Chimaev, which I didn't like. I don't want to see Chimaev versus Strickland because I'm a Strickland fan, and I want to see Strickland get another title shot. Unfortunately, I think if he goes against Chimaev, he just wrestles him down, and I don't know that Strickland, everyone says Strickland has good wrestling. If he goes against Chimaev, we're going to find out exactly if it's good enough to stay standing, because if Strickland could keep it standing against Chimaev, he dominates all night long. The Philly shell. But I just don't know that he could. So I don't like that matchup for Strickland. But now, with all these guys taken, I really wanted to see Strickland versus Whittaker. But I don't want to see Strickland versus Cannonier again. That wasn't a good fight the first time. And it was really close. But yeah, I know Cannonier got the win. Strickland thought he should have got the win. I don't know. Maybe they're going to run that one back. Who knows? So I was looking at the card on UFC 300, and it is a stacked card. There's no doubt they definitely went all out, putting some really good fights on there. There's fights all the way through that card that could headline any fight night. That's how good the card is. With that said, having Jamal Hill on the top, that is it's so embarrassing. I love Pereira, but it's not. When we wanted 300, we wanted something, we were told it was going to be mind-blowing. And I'm sorry, Jamal Hill versus Alex Pereira, it's not mind-blowing. It's not a bad main event, but I don't know that Hill's even ready. He didn't start training until somewhat recently. I don't know if you guys saw him. He looked really fat. This dude clearly did not train very hard. I know he had the injury, but a lot of times guys will do other stuff. If you can't do this, you row, you do this other thing. Clearly, Jamal Hill did not do most of that. And I don't know. Maybe I'm just a Jamal Hill hater because I think he's kind of a piece of crap. I've heard a lot of stories about him. He openly came out and said Dana White, when he slapped his wife, that she deserved it. I'm like, whoa, hold on, bro. Are you serious? Hold on. So if this is what he's saying publicly, you can imagine what happens in the Hill household if he's publicly defending Dana White for smacking his wife, saying she deserved it. He beat up a brother. He just doesn't seem like a good guy to me. He might be the worst representative of the sport that I've ever seen. With that said, the dude's tough. The only time I saw him lose was against Paul Craig. Paul Craig dislocated that elbow of his, and he kept fighting through it while that arm's flopping around. Eventually, Herb called it off, but he's tough. With that said, if he tries to stand with Pereira, it's going to be lights out. one thing about Jamal Hill, it's a very dangerous fight for him. He's had some big wins. He's had, the loss against Craig. I don't think I've ever seen him knocked out. Once you get knocked out, ask, some of these guys that have gone through concussions, it's very dangerous. He might never get back there again. But he had to take this fight, because if he doesn't take this fight at 300, he might get shelved for a while. You know how the UFC is. When they need a main event, they need a main event. So he kind of had to take it. But man, I actually hope Pereira puts his lights out, and I hope we don't have to see Jamal Hill anymore. We're also going to see the PFL champ and two-time gold medalist Kayla Harrison make her UFC debut. But it's puzzling. So she fought in the PFL. They created a division at 155 pounds. Might I add that she didn't win the last time I saw her fight. She got beat by Larissa Pacheco. And now she's coming back and she's going to fight Holly Holm at 135 pounds. I think she had a hard time making 155. She is a large girl, and I don't think there's a lot of places to lose weight on this girl. To see her make 135 pound is going to be deadly. I can't even imagine who thought this was a good idea, or how she'll fight the next day after cutting weight like that. It's terrifying. I do think if she can actually get past the scale, Holly Holm's awesome, but let's be honest, guys, she's had a fighting career that is so long. I mean, she's a Hall of Famer, but her best years have passed her. If Kayla Harrison can't get past her, she shouldn't even be in the UFC. So I do think Kayla gets past her if she can get past the scale. So Colby Covington, Colby, Mr. Let's create a story out of nothing, claims Sean Strickland is under investigation for pistol whipping somebody. Is there a more hollow allegation than possibly under investigation? What? What are you talking about? Are you just making that up, Colby? We all saw when there was the guy out there and Sean pulled the gun when the guy was, drunk and maybe trying to steal his car or lost or whatever he was doing. Yes, Sean Strickland has guns. Sean Strickland is a badass. Sean Strickland will punch you on the street if you challenge him. That's who he is. We all know that's who he is. But for Colby to come out and just say stuff like that, dude, Colby, shut up. Just get in there, fight Ian Gary. I'm tired of Colby Covington's act, and it's a complete act. That's why I actually like Sean Strickland. He talks about Sean Strickland having problems. Guess what? Sean's open about it. You know how much courage and respect that I give to somebody who goes public with that stuff and shows you authentically who they are? Anyone can be a coward like Colby and just come out and fake this, fake that, lie about this, lie about that. But when you show your true self, that takes courage. What Colby's doing, it was cool for a minute, but it's kind of cowardice now. And the way he got his ass beat by Leon Edwards, it wasn't even close. Leon handled him, he out-wrestled him. Colby didn't even fight hard. He needs a win before I'll even take this shtick serious again. He needs something. You can do that shtick, but you better be winning if you're going to do stupid stuff and dress up in costumes and play whatever Colby plays. So anyway, guys, that's it for the MMA video today. Remember, subscribe, share this thing out, and help me get it going. Thanks, guys. Later.